Residential sales comparison and income approaches, page 42. In a market value assignment, when it is available in the normal course of business, 2. Analyze agreements of sale, options, and listings of the subject property, current as of the effective date of the appraisal. The standards rule also requires the analysis of all sales of the subject property that occurred within 3 years prior to the effective date of the appraisal. The current or past listings of the subject property may well evidence a test of the property on the market and how the market responded to the offering. Analysis of any past or current agreement, such as a sales contract or an option, demonstrates an action by a particular party. The appraiser should analyze these agreements to determine if they reflect a typical market reaction. While this analysis may not be part of the property inspection process specifically, vital information can often be gathered or evidenced during the subject property inspection. If the property owners are present during the property inspection, appraisers routinely will inquire about any past listing or agreement history of the subject property. Some evidence of past listings could include stray for sale signs stored in or on the property. As well, most multiple listing services allow for the appraiser to research a particular property's listing history for insight. If a property has or had been listed and offered to the open market at a particular price, the price for which the property was offered usually sets the limit for what the property's market value could be. This is true only given there is no upward trend in the market or the property's physical state. In fact, provided there is no evidence of change, the property is probably worth somewhere below this listing or offering price in a market value assignment. For example, during a property inspection as part of an appraisal for a mortgage refinance transaction, the appraiser notes a for sale sign leaning against the back of the garage on the subject property. Upon inquiry, the property owner discloses that the property had been listed for sale through a local real estate broker with an asking price of $190,000. The broker had not returned to pick up the sign. Further inquiry revealed that the property had been offered on the market for 6 months, which resulted in several showings to prospective buyers, but no offers were received. Provided that 6 months is a reasonable period of exposure for the particular market and that common marketing steps were taken by the broker, the appraiser could make a valuable observation from the perspective of the most common definition of market value. If the appraiser could interpret that the market would not pay $190,000. Page 43. Using the most common definition of market value, the same could be said for a property subject to a sale transaction. If a sales agreement indicates a transaction price greater than the listing or offering price, there must be a reason. Typical buyers do not, by nature, offer more for a property than its asking price without some incentive, such as favorable financing terms or sale conditions, which often makes the transaction something other than arm's length. For example, an exemption might be a property that is located in a seller's market where the listing price can represent a starting point for negotiations to go upward. However, in order for the list price to possibly represent market value, more than one interested buyer would have to negotiate or at least express strong intent to make an offer on the property for the eventual sales agreement price. The property's list price alone may not provide a valuable indication as to market value. The appraiser must take great care in such an analysis that the actions represent what a typical buyer in a market value transaction would do. Analyzing a current purchase agreement can also yield any atypical terms of the transaction, such as seller financing, concessions, allowances, terms, or personal property items being included. The practice of analyzing the subject property's prior sales for the immediate 3 years prior to the effective date of the appraisal serves to reveal any prior transfer and mortgage history that could be evidence of illegal flipping. Illegal flipping occurs when successive transfer and mortgage transactions are facilitated in a short time period for fraudulent and criminally profitable purposes. The past sales history also prompts the appraiser to further investigate a past sales transfer and if the terms of the transaction were arm's length. When the subject property historically has been the subject of multiple arm's length transactions, the appraiser is often able to interpret change in market conditions over the period of time. Data analysis conclusions. It is very important to note that the data research and analysis in an assignment can be, depending on the scope of work, a much broader and more complex process than we have discussed here. In summary, the data collected and ultimately analyzed would also include national and regional trends, economic-based analysis, and other local and neighborhood market conditions. Other courses concentrating on market analysis will expand greatly on this topic area. Once the appraiser has collected, verified, and analyzed the numerous data applying either generally or specifically to the subject property, he begins forming conclusions that will assist him in forming an end of page.